So we can get this going on the Xbox with the PlayStation thing on. Oh no, I just used the my 3DS. So what are we looking at? It's a PlayStation blog. They talk about all of the bullet points and all the new stuff. Okay, here's all the bullet points. That's cool. So I guess I'm gonna go through each one, and I guess I'll go through each bullet point when my internet decides to catch up with my Twitch. Okay, that's kind of strange because I'm now listening to myself on my own chat. Okay. Yeah, let's go through each. I'm going to go through each individual bullet point and talk about and give my opinion on each one. And I'm going from PlayStation blog here, so hopefully they've covered everything. I don't see how you'd miss a point, but I guess I'll start with each individual one. So from the beginning, we have 60 FPS and 1080p resolution. It looks and feels super smooth to play. Can't really disagree with that. 60 FPS is something that should have been in the original Devil May Cry. It's, you know, 60 FPS. It's how Devil May Cry should be. It's like if Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5 is going to be 30 FPS, the game's dead. Devil May Cry isn't necessarily dead because it's in 30 FPS, but it's kind of, it should be a requirement you should be trying to hit, and it's why I didn't like the idea that Ninja Theory went with the Unreal Engine. As much as I like the engine, it's overused and it's very hard to render to get a game to run at 60 FPS. Only one company, well two now, but one company has only ever been able to get 60 FPS running on the Unreal Engine, and that is NetherRealm with Mortal Kombat. Yeah, Mortal Kombat, and there was also the recently released Guilty Gear, which is running on the Unreal Engine as well, which is also at 60 FPS. So you really have to really work that engine to get it to run at 60 FPS, because it's possible, but it was something that Ninja Theory never actually decided to do, and unfortunately I think that made the game, it was one of the biggest negatives about it. Even I didn't really like it running at 30 FPS. On TVs where, see, my TV runs at 60, but for some of the bigger TVs which also run at high frame rates or 60 FPS, it's really noticeable, especially on a large TV. I was playing Devil May Cry at a friend's house. I was like, wow, this is near unplayable, because I can actually, as strange as it sounds, I can see the frames. You know, like it looks very jittery. It doesn't look smooth. So DmC should have been in 60 FPS to begin with. But if they're correcting it, I've got no problems with that. I'm completely fine with them saying, yeah, you know what, we're gonna push for 60 FPS now. 1080p is always a bonus. I'm not too. I prefer frame rate over resolution. That's not to say that 720p is something I'm okay with. It should always be as best as possible. We're not dealing with like some poverty level shit here. I mean, 1080p should be a standard by now, but with the way games are going, barely hitting 60 FPS and 1080p seems to be a problem on PS3 and on PS4 and the Xbox One. So to be honest, I'm not going to go into it now, but this current generation has been blowing arse in terms of quality. But if they manage to get 1080p 60 FPS, I'm okay with that. That's a bonus. They're listening to what people wanted, and they're clearly trying to push what the Unreal Engine can do. So I'm really happy about that. That's always a bonus. That should be something everyone should be happy about. Up-res graphics, including textures, characters, and cinematics. Well, if the game's running at native 1080p, the cinematics in the game were all in-game as well. They were not pre-rendered, so the cinematics will just naturally look better running at that resolution. Textures, characters, and cinematics. Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. That comes with the higher level quality of textures. I thought Devil May Cry it was fairly decently made. Had nice textures, nice looking graphics. It's not the kind of thing I would say had a negative at any point. In fact, I thought the art design was really impressive. Actually, the way that the environment was kind of its own entity, in the same way Silent Hill uses the world as a character. The idea of limbo, which wasn't really explained, that would be interesting if they ever explained what limbo was. But that's a bit of a tangent. Yeah, the art design I thought that for DmC was actually pretty. It's something that I think Ninja Theory have done really well. If anyone's ever played Enslaved, I thought was it Heavenly Sword? Or, I mean, it didn't look bad, but if you've ever played Enslaved, you need to see what that game looks like, and on a nice TV, it is actually really, really nice. And I think the idea of DmC was the art design and direction that went into DmC was pretty good. I really liked it. There's a lot of creativity went into it, especially in the nightclub. I mean, I think it shows Ninja Theory have a really creative team and some really good ideas for design. It's just a shame that I think it was a bit hindered in DmC. It wasn't to their finest, but again, it was still nothing that I could say was bad in any way. So otherwise, graphics, that's all good for me. Big bundle of content. This includes DmC, Devil May Cry, plus all released DLC, Virgil's Downfall campaign, 3 Dante skins, 3 Dante weapons, and the item finder. To me, that's nothing impressive. This is just Capcom being Capcom and them taking content out of the game and then re-releasing it. That's something I don't consider it to be a positive. I think that's a negative because it should have been in the game to begin with. Again, I don't want to go on a tangent. I want this to be strictly about Devil May Cry rather than, you know, what my thoughts on DLC are. But in the case of DmC and its DLC, it's just Capcom. They clearly told Ninja Theory, take out this content and repackage it later on. Fortunately, I bought the game from Shop 2, the original release, so I gained all of the DLC, all 3 skins, all 3 weapons in the item finder. I know that in America you had to go to like GameStop, Amazon and some other place to get each individual weapon and skin, and yeah, it's just a mess. So again, for me to get all of that content back, and for all the other people who didn't get the content to experience it, is, you know, something good. But Capcom need to get that fucking shit fixed. I'm so sick of the bullshit that they do with DLC. Just taking content out. I'm not even, again, I don't want to go into DLC, but the way that they handle DLC is fucking disgusting, to be honest. I love Capcom games, but their business practices are just some of the worst I've seen. They're trying to push themselves up there again. So let's not go about talking about DLC. But the fact DLC is all in there, that's all good with me. I liked Virgil's Downfall because I thought Virgil was really fun to play. He's a character I never actually bothered to expand upon that much, when I should have been. I found the tech regarding the doppelganger stuff, so that's okay. He's a character I never actually fully mastered. I think I dropped out of DmC. I took a break for I've actually been taking a DmC break for nearly a year now. Just under it's just over a year actually. No, actually no, it's a year and a half, nearly 2 actually. So I've not been playing DmC. So it's been about a year and a half now, yeah. Bloody thing. So yeah, I'm happy that they've given us all of the DLC. They should have done that to begin with, but that's for a different story, I mean different topic. New skins, 2 new character skins, Devil May Cry 1 and Classic Virgil. I'm not too sure what Classic Virgil is. I think that's Virgil in DmC story, but not the where he's got special, where he's turned, you know, devil triggered Virgil, which is okay with me. DmC 1, DmC 1 Dante, he looks okay in Devil May Cry 1, very basic design, probably one of his best designs actually. I was never really a fan of DmC 4, I did think he looked a bit silly. Whether people take offence to it or not, his cowboy boots were kind of stupid, but again, DmC is all about the style and flair, so it all, in the context of DmC and its design and the character design, I think it fits. It's not the thing I would personally design myself, but I never really had an issue with it. What's next? So it's only just 2 new character skins. Oh, Turbo Mode. This is awesome. Absolutely freaking awesome. Love Turbo Mode. I do have Devil May Cry on Xbox, PS... No, I had it on PlayStation 4. I have Devil May Cry on PlayStation, Xbox 360 and PC. And Turbo Mode is something I never bothered to nail down. It's so intense. DmC 4 Turbo Mode, but if D lowercase m uppercase C has now got Turbo Mode, I'm okay with that. I've got no issues with the game having Turbo Mode. That to me it's something that I would want. I want Devil May Cry to be a very, very fast-paced game. DmC, new DmC I should say, was quite sluggish in its combat. It had fast-paced movements, but the combat was definitely slower than DmC 4. That's not necessarily to say that it's bad. I mean, slow doesn't mean bad, but in the context of DmC, it felt like it had a slight restraint on the speed. So Turbo Mode, I've seen a press writer, Sam D, check out his channel. He was one of the first people to do Turbo Mode for DmC, and it looks impressive. I hope that the Turbo Mode is they know what they're doing with turbo mode, and that it becomes a really interesting mechanic, because turbo mode for DMC4 is bloody incredible. As strange as it sounds, a very fast-paced game naturally becoming 20% faster is something I'm always for. So DMC being now faster, I think should hopefully put people's problems to rest when it came with the combat and the speed of how the game flowed. I really like turbo mode, so that's always good with me. Hardcore mode. I need to pause this here. I'm gonna get slapped in the face by this thing. Turbo mode. Oh, pick that up. Oh crap! It's back. So turbo mode, hardcore mode. Hardcore mode retains the experience of DMC, but with a throwback to the classic Devil May Cry games in terms of balance. In this mode, which can be toggled on all difficulty levels, the star system has been rebalanced to make ranking up much harder and rank deteriorate much quicker. In addition, Devil Trigger doesn't launch enemies into the air, parrying takes more skill, and all enemies hand out more damage. Yeah, that's just another game mode, to be honest. I'm not complaining about that. The more the merrier to me. Yeah, I'm all for that as well. Why not? I wouldn't mind. I'm going to be that guy. I'm sorry, but I don't find Devil May Cry hard. It's not a hard game to me at all. It's just this game that people seem to praise as hard when it's really not that hard. I beat Devil May Cry 3 on all the difficulties, and SS'd every level. Not to brag, but I'm just saying I've never found Devil May Cry hard. It's not a hard series, or maybe I just find the game naturally easy. I would probably say it's the second, because a lot of people seem to praise the difficulty of the DMC series. I personally don't think any of them are hard, but that's just me. But if they're giving a hardcore mode, I'm always up for a challenge like that kind of thing. Get those achievements. Throwback to the old games, toggle difficulties, Devil Trigger not launching enemies into there about bloody time. That thing was insanely overpowered. I never liked the idea of the damage output of Devil Trigger. I never liked the idea that it would launch enemies into the air and leave them completely unable to do anything. It should be that Dante powers up, not that he is overpowering and launching enemies into the... I mean, I really liked the way that Devil Trigger looked, but in terms of the Devil May Cry mechanics, it was just overpowered as crazy. It's not the thing that should be in a Devil May Cry game. I'm actually lost at the moment as well. Don't even know where I'm going. Yeah, so to me that's good. That's always a bonus. I like that Devil May Cry has now been... as long as it's not launching the enemies, but keeps the art style that Alice Madness has, and wet, and that red with white, or black and white covered in blood, that style. Parrying takes more skill, and enemies hand out more damage. But I thought parrying was quite okay. Was fairly okay. Didn't really seem to be overpowered. Enemies hand out more damage. Yeah, that's normal. I expect that. Hardcore mode, I welcome. Manual target lock. Okay, so we've seen more requests than any other feature. The manual lock was closely to the Devil May Cry lock on as possible, and fully configurable, and has fully configurable controls. So I'm all for this. I never really had an issue with DMC's manual auto lock, where you didn't have control of lock on, but having a manual lock, definitely. It should have been in the original game. I'm not, again, I didn't have too much of an issue, but manual lock on it's kind of, it's like there are certain mechanics that, don't get me wrong, it's trying to be its own game, and I like that Ninja Theory kept that, but there should be set requirements. Like, there should be like how to make a DMC notebook, which says, here are the guidelines, this is what should be in the game. Now that you've got the basic fundamentals and mechanics down, now you can go make your own Devil May Cry game based on these functions. So for example, having a manual lock should be a requirement to a DMC game. If you take it out, then you're kind of losing what the level of finesse that DMC had in terms of its combat, because the manual lock-on let you do additional moves. So for example, you could do Stinger while locked onto an enemy. I know they changed that for DMC, but having a manual lock-on, definitely. Again, should have been in the original game. I'm glad that they're correcting this design choice or mistake. I don't want to sound insulting in any way to Ninja Theory, but I'm glad that they're finally addressing manual lock-on. This is something I'm happy about. In the trailer as well, it shows that the enemies have a life bar, which is always a bonus, because it meant that combos had a bit more level of control to them. In DMC, I admit I was more like, I'm just going to assume they're going to die soon. I kind of had an idea of how much they could take, but I was still kind of going under the assumption that, okay, they're going to die soon in this combo. Virtual Bloody Palace, only second to manual target locking in terms of the number of fan requests. This is a new Bloody Palace mode featuring 60 levels and Virgil as a playable character. That's great. Completely love that idea. I thought Bloody Palace in DmC was pretty interesting. The way that it was presented, I liked how the stages changed. Again, DmC4 did the same. I'm also lost. Yeah, Sanka, new Bloody Palace, featuring 60 levels of Virgil's playable character. This is something that should have been in the original game. I know it's strange to say, but because DmC 1, 2, 3 and 4 all had DmC 2 and onwards had Bloody Palace, this should have been, you know, like I said before with manual lock-on, this is something that should be in the guidebook on how to make DmC Devil May Cry games 101. And if you don't have Bloody Palace in that kind of, with the level of depth that the originals had, then that's kind of an issue. I mean, DmC had only Virgil Dante playable, but DmC4 had 2 with different versions of each. Well, I mean, DmC had Dante and Devil Trigger Dante, but it wasn't, or easy mode and all that crap. But I mean, you know, again, it's if they're adding more to it, I'm all for that. It's Bloody Palace basically with Virgil. Moss style mode. This is a hardcore modifier and also on an epic scale that can be played on over any difficulty. Players must be at rank S or higher to deal any damage to enemies. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Another challenging mode to be playing. It's one of those. Oh, you know, I'm not too fussed about the whole difficulty, but if there's a requirement to how you can kill enemies now, and you've actually got to be good, and combine this with the previous one, such as hardcore mode, that's a bonus. I'm always up for a challenge with these kind of games. Players must be S rank or higher. Yeah, that's cool. Sounds good to me. Gods Must Die difficulty. This is awesome. This is DmC's Definitive Edition's hardest difficulty mode. It takes DmC's ridiculously hard Dante Must Die mode and adds a touch more punishment. All enemies spawn with Devil Trigger active, and no items or health can be dropped can be used. That sounds awesome. I love that kind of challenge. Definitely going to go on that. I mean, once I've gone through the game a couple of times, I've got all the items, all the upgrades, and bought everything, then I'll go through that mode. That sounds awesome, personally. So, yeah, hardcore mode, bring it on. Rebalanced and retuned. We've studied fan feedback and made a whole host of tweaks and balance changes. The style system has been rebalanced all as bosses. Airports have been fixed in combat, and some of Dante's moves rebalanced, such as Demon Evade. Gameplay tweaks have been made following hardcore player testing. Frames have been removed from kablooey shops. Evade parry windows adjusted, and collectibles, keys doors redistributed. I don't really know what that means by redistributed. I can only assume that means that they've changed how. I can only assume they've. Yeah, I don't even know what to make of that, to be honest. Collectibles, keys, and doors. Maybe it means they've put them in different locations, so you've really got to go out of your way to find them. Which doesn't make much sense if you've got the item finder equipped. Whatever then. If they've retweaked the game to make it less, in a way, easy, I'm all for that. Demon Evade I thought was quite not overpowered, but easy to exploit to get easy ranks. What else is it? Gameplay tweaks. Frames have been moved from kablooey shots. I'm not too sure what that means. Again, that's something, to be honest, kablooey is an item I've never really used that much. But if people notice, then fair enough. What else was there? Oh, I've got more quests. Back this way. I knew I was going the wrong way. I was supposed to be in this village looking for quests. Yeah, so if they rebalanced it, retweaked it, retuned it, I'm all for that. I keep saying I'm all for that, but I am actually all for that. I'm up for a game that feels very much to the core of Devil May Cry than it is something that can be easily exploited. I've never really been a fan of the easy exploits in Devil May Cry. And for anyone who doesn't know, trust me, the old Devil May Cry games had their exploits to getting easy ranks and easy score bonuses or farming orbs. So I don't go thinking that the old games are perfect and didn't have their exploits. But if Ninja Theory, I'm also getting those guys confused. If Ninja Theory are willing to address that, yeah, there was a couple of issues with the involving exploits, then that's good. They should kind of be looking at this kind of fan feedback, because this is their second chance to redeem themselves on a game that was generally good, but had this fan base of just, well, crybabies that wanted it to be the exact same rather than its own entry into the series. But that's another story. What the hell? If they're fixing the problems, cool, good for them. Don't have an issue with that personally. What the bloody hell? And lastly, oh no, 2 new things: integration of popular community mods, DmC definitive community such as optional timer disable for Bloody Palace mode, a triple dash for Angel Evade, and the ability to hit red and blue enemies with any weapon. About bloody time! Holy shit! That should have been a patch update. It shouldn't have taken this long to make to put some of these community mods into the 360 and PS3 version, because the 27 is going to be quite tough. So I'm going to assume Sam D. They're looking at Sam D's videos and going, you know, we should probably put some of that stuff in. Yeah, bloody coloured enemies. Why were they in the game? I really hated coloured enemies so freaking much. Some people say it forced you to mix up your gameplay with your other things, but that's not what Devil May Cry is about. Like I said, in this imaginary handbook I've made up for DmC 101, coloured enemies don't need to be in the game. It completely stops the pace of the combat. I didn't mind using angel weapons because they were quick, but when you're forced to use just demon weapons, again, I didn't really have too much of a demon issue with the demon weapons, but man, they just really slowed the game down, and they were only fun on using enemies that didn't have mandatory colours. So about freaking time that we have this. Again, I'm glad that they're listening to fan feedback and they're getting rid of all this crap, because I do not like coloured enemies. I think it's an interesting idea, but it doesn't need to be in Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry was all about styling with everything at once on any enemy whenever you want to, and the fact that they limited this to 3 different types of weapon. You've got red, neutral and blue. No, this isn't Guitar Hero. I don't need coloured enemies in my games. That's just stupid. Again, not to sound insulting to the Ninja Theory team, but I'm so glad that's going to be gone. I'm putting that on straight away as soon as I play the game. I don't need coloured enemies to slow my game down, especially a Devil May Cry game. Angel Evade, triple dash for Angel Evade. I'm not too sure what that means. I guess this means that I can have, well, triple dashes, but I don't really know why you'd want that exactly. But okay, I guess if people want it, I'm all for that as well. May as well just put it in for the sake of it. I've got a trap here, isn't there? Yeah, there's a trap. Oh, optional timer disabled for Bloody Palace. Yeah, sorry Capcom. Even Devil May Cry old games, DmC4, what the fuck was that game's problem with not having an update to disable timer in Bloody Palace? I just want to style in Devil May Cry than have to run through this game. It was the best place to practice your combos, and for someone like me who was just starting Devil May Cry, I started Devil May Cry properly in about 2010. So for someone like me who really wanted to play Devil May Cry and had an issue with Bloody Palace on the console version, yeah, that's at least because of the timer wouldn't let you try out stuff. I'm glad they're doing this. This is something that should have been addressed in Devil May Cry 4, or no, Devil May Cry 3 even, and wasn't. So yeah, I'm glad this is in the game. It's about freaking time they implement these kind of things into console games, especially Devil May Cry. So the last one is new cutscene. Okay, that's cool. Cut content that never made it into the final game. I'm always a fan of. I like that kind of thing. As someone interested in that kind of game design shit. What the fuck is this? Jesus fucking Christ! I won't even move. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad about that. New cutscene, cool. I need to see cut content that now making it into the final game. That's always a bonus. Hopefully they add any more in. I'd like to see maybe enemy designs made in, character designs, maybe new stuff added in that was originally supposed to be in the game but never made it in. That's always cool. So overall, I think Devil May Cry or DmC, D lowercase m uppercase C is going to be a pretty good game. I'm glad that they're taking on fan feedback. I know this isn't going to change anything. People are still going to hold their prejudices because, well, whiny fanboys. And I mean like a lot. So let's not talk about the white. Again, I don't want to turn this into a fan thing either. Like, oh, it's whiny fanboys, but there are a lot of. So if I don't talk about the white hair or the black hair or whatever it was, and people complaining, but actually just talk about some of the legitimate complaints that people had, such as 30 FPS, the way that you had red and blue enemies, the exploits with the combat system. It seems like hopefully people finally give the game a chance. I think that they've decided to take on a lot of the complaints and address them. Hopefully this puts more people back into the Devil May Cry games and realise that Ninja Theory are listening to what people are saying, and this could be good. And for the new consoles as well, that's always a bonus. I wonder if they're going to do it for the previous generation. I mean, 60 FPS and 1080p, I don't see that happening, but I've got an Xbox One and I'm playing it right now. So I'm happy about that. I'm glad that they're doing something that's well, positive. They're taking on fan feedback and they're working on it and they're implementing it into the new game. So yeah, it's good. I'm happy they're doing this. Like I said, hopefully this brings people back into Devil May Cry and stops, you know, the hate that DmC got, because honestly, it was a good game. It was a good game, but it did have its problems, and I'm someone who really likes Devil May Cry and still acknowledged it's had its serious issues, but this could be the point where it brings people back in and they realise that, you know, developers are willing to listen to fan feedback, especially in the case of Devil May Cry, because this is their second chance to redeem themselves. You know, go at this again and say, you know what, here's what you guys wanted, we're listening to the feedback and we can actually put this into our game now, and we can do it with maybe more than you guys were even expecting. So for me, I was quite satisfied with DmC, but I'm really excited about the new stuff they're adding in, and I'm glad that they're saying that they're willing to listen to the fan feedback. Holy shit, grenades. Yeah, so that's cool. I look forward to this coming out in March. I'm definitely going to be buying it on day one. Obviously I'm going to be making my own combo videos. I'm going to be making a comeback to Devil May Cry with the release of Definitive Edition. Yeah, so bring it on. Bring it on.